Hi class. Alright, so rotations. Again, there are two types of rotations. One, we are going to the right. We can rotate to the right. Again, if you're rotating in that direction to the right, they're going to call it clockwise, or CW for short. And the reason why it's clockwise, if we follow the clock, we're going to the right. So usually what I do when I'm getting ready to rotate and they tell me something, I'll draw my little clock. I'll put 12, I'll put a 3, a 6, and a 9. And I know we go from 12 to 3 to 6 to 9 or whatever. And if you look, that's to the right. Okay? Or you can just look at a clock. And we see that we're going to the right. Alright, so we can either rotate to the right, which is clockwise, or we can rotate to the left, which is going to be counterclockwise, or for short, CCW. And then again, we have certain degrees that we can rotate. Alright, 90 degrees is going to be a quarter turn. So if we rotate Patrick 90 degrees to the right, or clockwise, he ends up on his side. Okay? Tiberius, get off. Sorry, my cat. Alright. Patrick, get rid of this. Get rid of this. Alright. Bam. Alright. Or we can rotate him a quarter turn to the left. And again, he ends up on his side. Okay, to the left is counterclockwise. 180 degrees. We end up upside down. That is half a turn. All right, if we rotate Patrick 180 to the right, he ends up upside down. That was clockwise. 180 counterclockwise or to the left, same thing. He ends up upside down. So if you do a half turn or 180, either way, he ends up the same way. Okay, but if we do 90, all right, he does not end up the same way. He ends up on a different side depending which way you go. So 90, you have to be careful. 270 is going to be 3/4 of a turn. We don't really have to worry about this part. Okay, and in all honesty, we're not going to learn about 270 this year. You're going to see that next year, all right? So that's just kind of, so you know, 270 is 3/4 of a turn, but we won't use that. And then last, 360 is a full turn. All right, let's look at some other objects if we were to rotate them. So we want to describe the rotation. Now we can tell that this smiley face got rotated because it turned. If we look, it's on its side, so that means it is a 90 degrees turn, but did we go to the right or to the left? To the right, so it's going to be clockwise, 90 degrees clockwise. Now looking at a picture with letters, all right, which one is the pre-image? Yeah, the pre-image is going to be this one. This is the new image. The new image has the little tick marks again. So if we look at maybe one or two of the letters, okay? If you look at, let's say, this side, do you see how it got turned? So now it's on its side, okay? Same thing here. It got turned on its side. So this is going to be 90 degrees because it's on its side, and we turn this guy to the left. So 90 degrees counterclockwise. Looking here, who's the image? Who's the pre-image? The pre-image is, this is my original. The new image or the image is with the tick marks. Look at the letters to tell what happened. If you look at the letters, A and B are now upside down. D and C are now upside down, all right? This was half a turn. So 180 degrees, and we can say clockwise or counterclockwise because it will get us in the same spot. All right, we also need to know how to rotate our actual points on the coordinate plane. We need those exact coordinates. Now this is going to be the hardest thing that we learn for our transformations unit, is rotations and getting the points. So So please listen carefully. Rewind if you need to listen again. Okay? The first step of what I do here, I'm going to rotate point A 90 degrees clockwise. Clockwise is to the right. All right, so that's one thing that I do. I'm moving A here 90 degrees clockwise. So we're going to move in this direction. Remember, 90 degrees gets you next door. So another thing that I do is I write what quadrant I should end up in. We should end up in quadrant, that's going to be quadrant 2. Okay, we should end up in quadrant 2 over here. So now, to actually get our exact A prime, that exact thing, what we're going to do is we are going to rotate our paper. Okay? Meaning you're going to turn your paper. Before we do that, I forgot one thing. Let's go ahead and up top, I want you to draw a little star. Draw a star. We are going to reference where that star is when we rotate our papers. All right, so again, we are going to rotate our paper 90 degrees to the right, which is clockwise. 90 degrees means our paper, we do a quarter turn. It ends up on its side. So this is me rotating it. The paper is now on the side. The smiley faces are furthest away from you, okay? Do we see that? All right, they are away from your body. So now we rotated our paper, what it said, 90 degrees to the right, which was clockwise. Now, we want to know where point A would be. When we rotate our paper, we actually rotated the point. So look at this like it's a brand new quadrant. You're going to place your finger on the origin. All right, and we want to get to A. To get to A, we're going to think, do you move your finger? Ignore the numbers, guys. Ignore those old numbers. Do we move to the right or to the left from the origin? Think about how your finger's going to move. We're going to move to the left. We're going to move to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So left 4. That's going to be our X value. Then do we move up or down? Our finger is going to move up. We're going to move up. 1, 2, 3. So again, we put our finger at the origin. We want to get to A. To get to A, first we move right or left. We're going to move, my finger moves left, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is we are going to rotate back to the normal thing, and we said that we were going to move left 4 and up 3. Left 4, up 3. Well, guys, if I go ahead and plot that, left 4, up 3, it would be this guy where B is. And we would call that A prime. Well, did it end up in quadrant 2? Yeah, that's quadrant 2. So that would actually be correct, okay? So now we go ahead and we think about what that point actually is, because we need to either be able to plot it, which is what I just erased. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties. Erase for me, little guy. There we go. All right, so we either need to plot it or we need to write it. So we're going to be doing both. However, I'm going to be erasing mine because of the computer, the stuff it's doing. So left 4, up 3. So if we go left 4 for your X value, that's -4. If we went up 3, your Y is +3. And again, if we plot that here, that is in quadrant 2. So that makes sense. The next one, we're going to rotate B 180 degrees. Guys, if we're rotating 180 degrees, it doesn't matter which direction you go. So remember, 90 gets you next door. 180 gets you 2 quadrants over. So we should end up over here in quadrant 4. 180 that way, 180 that way. It gets us to quadrant 4. So I'm going to make a little note real quick. We should end up in quadrant 4 if we do this correctly. So what we're going to do next is we are going to rotate our paper. If we are rotating it 180, our paper should end up upside down. All right, the star that we drew up at the top should now be closest to your body. All right, it's upside down. And now, same thing, guys. We're going to start at the origin, and we care about B. Okay, so we start at the origin, and we need to get to B. So first up, do we move our finger right or left? Our finger, to get to B, we're going to move to the right. We move to the right 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, and then do we move up or down to get to B? Your finger is going to move down. It's going to move down 1, 2, 3 spaces. So again, we rotate our paper 180 degrees. We go to the origin, and then we move right or left, up or down. Our finger, to get to B, is moving right 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down 3. So then we're going to go back, and let's think. If we did this correctly, so we said right 4, and then down 3. Right 4, down 3. So let's take a look at that, guys. Right 4 and down 3 would be right here. We would call that B prime. Okay, B prime. And if you look, that is in quadrant 4, where we expected to land. All right, so what is that point? Well, right 4 means X is positive, and then if we go down, your Y is going to be negative. So our new point would be, for B prime, 4, negative 3. Okay? For the next one, all right, we are now going to rotate point D, so here's D, 90 degrees counterclockwise. So counterclockwise, remember, goes to the left. It's the opposite of the clock. 90 degrees gets you next door. So we should end up in this quadrant. Okay, so quadrant 1. So we make a little note of that. We should end up in quadrant 1 over here. So again, what we're going to do is we are going to actually rotate our paper 90 degrees to the left, because that's counterclockwise. So to the left, oops, wrong thing. Give me 1 second. 90 degrees to the left. Nope. Nope. Alright, I need something else to rotate my whole thing. Give me 1 minute. There we go. Alright, so we're going to rotate 90 degrees to the left. Here we go. And then who are we looking for? We are on number 3, so we are looking for D. Alright, so start at the origin, and then we think, are we going to move right or left? Our finger moves to the right 2 spaces, right 2, and then up or down. It's going to move up 1. So again, we rotated our paper 90 degrees to the left because it was counterclockwise. We go to the origin, and we move right or left first, and then up or down. We're going to move to the right to get to D, and then up 1. So right 2, up 1. We go back, and I make a little note. Okay, so we said right 2, and then up 1. All right, right 2, and then up 1. If we think about what that is, right 2, and then up 1. So right 2, and then up 1 would be right here, right? That is in quadrant 1. We said quadrant 1. All right, so right 2, up 1. Right 2 is positive 2. Up 1 would be positive 1. Okay? Next one, we are going to rotate point D 180 now, counterclockwise. Counterclockwise, again, is to the left, so we will end up over here, 2 quadrants away for 180. Okay? When we rotate our paper, it should end up upside down. All right? And technically, for 180, it doesn't matter which way you rotate it, because remember, 180, we end up upside down. Your star should be closest to you. All right, so again, we care about point D. Start at the origin. Do we move right or left? We're going to move to the left. How many? We're going to move to the left 1 space, so left 1, and then do we move up or down? We're going to move up. My finger moves up, so left 1 and then up 2. Left 1 and then up 2. I write that down, left 1 and then up 2. So left 1 and then up 2. Let's think about what that is. So left 1 and up 2. Left 1, up 2. Left 1 would be -1 for x, because remember x comes first, and then up 2 would be positive for your y. If we actually plotted that, it would be right there, right? If we plotted it, it would be right there, and we would call that D prime. Okay, so we can either plot it or we can get our actual coordinate. Okay? And then guys, when you're rotating this, when I rotated it, give me a minute. When we rotated it, you were rotating the point. So that's what it looks like when you rotate the actual picture or whatever. All right, last one. We're going to rotate point E 90 degrees counterclockwise. So E to the left. Okay, 90 degrees gets us next door. So we should end up in quadrant 1. Okay, so we're going to rotate our paper 90 degrees to the left. To the left would be that way. The smiley face should be closest to your body. And we care about point E. Start at the origin. All right. Move right or left first. My finger is going to move to the right. It moves to the right 4 spaces. And then do we move up or down? It moves up. It moves up 5 spaces. So right 4, up 5. Right 4, up 5. All right. We said that we would end up in quadrant 1. If we move right 4 and then up 5, well, that would be in quadrant 1. So again, I usually write it down. So right 4, up 5, or let's think about it. Right 4 would be positive 4. Up 5 would be positive 5. And if we went ahead and plotted that, it would be right there, and we would call it E prime. Okay? Perfect. Now, real quick, let's say that we had an actual shape that we were rotating. Let's say we were rotating this whole shape. Well, what you would do is you would rotate each point separately. Okay, so you would rotate your paper. So let's say we have, that's A, B, C, and D. If you had to rotate a shape, you would rotate your paper, write down each point once you rotate it, and then if we had to redraw it, you would redraw each one separately. Okay, or you would write down the coordinates first and then you would redraw it. Okay, if this shape rotated over here, it would end up on its side. Okay, if it rotated over here, it would end up on its side like that, and like probably somewhere like this. Okay, if we rotated it 180 degrees, it would end up upside down in this quadrant. And then what would happen is all these letters would end up upside down. So A would be here, B would be here, and then let's see, C and D prime would be there. Okay, so you've got to look at the letters to see what's going on. Looking at the letters really helps you determine if it's just a slide or if it was a reflection or rotation. On the back, you're going to practice first with just regular points again. Make sure you're rotating your paper, writing down your new thing. The best thing to do is decide what quadrant should we end up in, and then come up with your point after you rotate your paper. See if it matches. Did you write down, did you end up in the correct quadrant? Okay, remember, clockwise is to the right, counterclockwise is to the left. 90 degrees, we end up next door. 180, you end up 2 quadrants away. And then last, you're going to do this picture, okay? Oh, real quick, answers are at the bottom so you can check as you're going along. When you do this picture, you're going to rotate. To rotate this triangle, you rotate each point one at a time. Okay, super important. You rotate each point one at a time. And then make sure you write the new coordinates, but you also plot them. All right, and then you're going to rotate the original. You're going to rotate this guy again a different way, and you're going to call it double prime. And again, write your coordinates, draw your picture. And then last, check your answers when you're done with this page. You guys got this. Let's do it. Good luck. Go Patrick. Goodbye.